Everybody. Are you with me? I hope. This is Lynda La Plante saying hello yet again. And, thank you all for joining me on Lockdown Facebook Live. Um, I'm, I've got a lot of questions to answer. So I'm going to go through information about things I'm doing as quickly as possible. So, first off, um, I hope you're all well and keeping very safe because on the news it said tonight very high count of new COVID cases. So please, everybody, take good care. Anyway, interesting. I've just written the acknowledgements and dedication for the next Jack War book. It's called Judas Horse. Um, it's going to be out in March, and it's one of the last things I do before it goes to print. Write my thank yous to everybody that's assisted me. And I'll be telling you a little bit more about it in a few weeks' time. But Judas Horse is coming off the printers. Anyway, I also received some other good news today, which was Cold Shoulder, which is the first in the Lorraine Page series of books, a trilogy. It is now a new jacket and now is available in paperback. It is also one of the new unabridged audiobooks. This is the new one. I do hope you enjoy it. It's got quite a long history with me because quite a number of years ago, when it was very first published, it was bought by CBS to be made into a series, and was very exciting. Uh, and it also shows, you know, some of the problems I've had here in the world of casting and production. Um, there's a similar problems in America because we had a director who apparently he'd been an actor in Hill Street Blues. Uh, he was I didn't really get along with him very well, but to show you what can happen in things like when you're making a pilot, he had a preconceived notion of what Lorraine Page looked like, um, which was totally different to the book. She was, a lieutenant. She had a very severe alcohol problem, great tragedies in her life. She'd lost her career. She was a very troubled soul. And it's how she gets her life back. Anyway, casting was going on. And it's slightly different there because it's very fast. They keep reeling in one person in after another. And I kept saying, they're too young. They're too young. I mean, what? They are too young. And then this director, he says to me, oh, I found the one. I found the one. She's absolutely incredible. This girl looked like a 12-year-old. And I said, she isn't right. And he said, well, I think she's absolutely incredible. I said, yes, if she was 20 years older. Anyway, it was getting to be a little bit difficult. And I walked out of where they were filming them. And sitting to one side on a part of an old set was a blonde, head bowed, quite nervous. And I took one look at her and I thought, I know who you are. I know who you are. And it was Kelly McGillis, right age, brilliant actress. And I knew she'd had a background of problems. I went up to her and I said, Kelly McGillis, I'm a great fan of yours. And she said, oh, thank you so much. And how life, evolves around, which you can't really expect and quite hard to understand. But from being a major movie actress, she was there in very nervous state, having to audition for this TV series. So I went back in to the room and I said, there is a wonderful actress out there called Kelly McGillis. She looks right for the part. I think she's stunning. Please bring her in. Well, to end a bit of a long story, Kelly McGillis got the part over big fights with the director. She was absolutely astonishing. She gave one of the most brilliant performances I've ever seen on any TV show. Stunning, stunning actress. It would be wonderful to be able to say, after all that, the series was made, but the pilot was dropped. That's one of the problems, you know, they make an awful lot of pilots each year. But the good news, yet again, is all these years later, because out comes the book again, and CBS have reared their head again, and now they want to make another series of it. So let's see what happens this time. Anyway, that's the good news about my book. And I'm going to really get on with the questions because there's quite a few that's been sent in. Excuse me licking my fingers, but I'm getting to my questiones. Right, first question is from Mary Hood. And she says, "Hi, Lynda. Did you personally cast Helen Mirren as Jane Tennyson for the early TV series? Because I think Helen Mirren absolutely nailed the character of Jane Tennyson." So very interesting to be just talking about Kelly McGillis and now telling you about Helen Mirren, who was equally astonishing. And yes, very much came from me. I will never ever tell anybody who Granada were actually hoping to cast as Jane Tennyson because it's really too embarrassing. But I said Helen Mirren. It is very hard to believe that Helen Mirren, even then in the early 90s, was a very well established theatre actress. Astonishing. I'd seen her work over and over again. And she'd also done a couple of films. But what you're up against when you're doing TV is to a lot of TV executives, you can say, I'd like Helen Mirren for this role. I think she'd be very good. Oh, Helen Mirren. I don't know her work. What has she done? And I said, well, she's a very, very established actress. Oh, well, I don't know. I don't go to the theatre. Anyway, again, just like I fought for Kelly McGillis, I fought for Helen and proved to be, you know, absolutely right. It's like because I was an actress, I mean, I just know that talent and I know how right it is to cast somebody the correct age. I'm so sick and tired of seeing TV shows with high ranking. She was a DCI. You know, that's a detective chief in constable. You can't put a 20-odd-year-old in there. They're too young, too lightweight as well. Helen Mirren had everything, right age, and she has an incredible weight to her. Astonishing performance. So I was proved right. Just to drink to that. I'm back on my gin and tonic. Okay, next question. Sorry, got the ice in my mouth. This is from Heather Simpson. Heather Simpson. Hi, Lynda. Do you miss acting? And what was your favorite thing you acted in? Well, in all truth, I do not miss acting at all. I stopped dead after Widows. You know, when I wrote Widows, I actually was trying to write a part leading role for myself. And the more I researched, the more I realized I wasn't right for any of the parts. And also, there was a great relief from the producer of Widows that when she said to me, "So, Lynda, what part do you think you should play?" I'd even called a character Lynda to make sure. And that was when I said, "I'm not right for any of them." And she had this great sigh of relief, thankfully, because changing sides so rapidly from being a working actress to being a writer, producer is a very big jump and very time consuming. And I had to give it every ounce of time I had. Never considered going back to acting. But there was one role, and again, you know, I'm always encouraging and saying to people, you know, don't take no as a rejection. rejection does not mean no. Just keep trucking. And when I was at RADA, the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art, as an actress, it's terribly important when you get to your final term at RADA, because you have the opportunity in the big Vanbrugh Theatre where all the agents come in to look at the new talent. I mean, that's where I've often got new actors from to star in my TV shows. And so it's terribly important to get a good part. And when they put the cast lists up for the Vanbrugh end of production, and the senior students going in for them, there's like a herd of footfall running to see these cast lists. And I was cast in 3 plays at the Vanbrugh, and I didn't have one character that was over 78. I was cast as every old bag in every single play. And I went to the principal's office because when I was at RADA, the principal's daughter was also there. And I noticed on the cast lists, she seemed to have a lot of leading roles. So on his door, he said, "Come in." And I went in and I said, he was called Fernald. I said, "Mr. Fernald, I wonder if I could possibly understudy your daughter, as she seems to have such a heavy load of parts in the final term, and perhaps she might get too tired." And he looked at me and he said, "What is your problem?" I said, "Well, one of the problems is, every character in all 3 plays is nearing 80 years of age. So it's not going to be a very good platform for me to try and get myself an agent, is it?" And he said, "Well, what you must do, Lynda, is be realistic. You're not very good looking. You're rather short. And probably in the real world, when you get out there, you will not find work until you're in your mid-40s as a character actress." And it was like, to you, I was so angry to be absolutely shovelled off as a squat, ugly little person. Cut to about 2 years later, I'm at Liverpool Playhouse Theatre in Repertory, and I'm acting opposite Anthony Hopkins, now Sir Anthony Hopkins, in a Goldoni play, and my character is described as the most astonishingly beautiful woman in Venice. Mwah! And I had this amazing gown, and tap, tap on the dressing room door. And the doorman came in and he said, "Oh, Lynda, this gentleman wants to see you." And I said, "Well, who is it?" And he said, you would know who he was. So I said, "Oh, well, all right, send him up." Number 1 dressing room, by the way, even though you're in Repertory. And door opens. In walks the principal of the Royal Academy, arms open. "My darling Lynda, what a sumptuous performance. You were so brilliant, absolutely astonishing." I told him to F off. But let it be a lesson, I could have walked out of that Royal Academy and probably given up acting. What a send-off to a student after 2 years. Squat, not very good looking. But anyway, that remains probably my favourite role of all time. And I adored Anthony Hopkins. Okay, another question. This is from Skip Chapman. And he asked, he says, "Hi, Lynda. I've finished my first crime novel and would like some advice on writing a great synopsis." Okay, now a great synopsis, I'm sure everybody listening goes, "Well, I know what a synopsis is." But how do you go about writing a short synopsis? Because because you have to send this to get into an agent maybe, publishers. Now think how many drafts of letters, treatments, even manuscripts they get sent in. I always say, never ever send a full manuscript. So skip. This is my advice about a synopsis. Look at headlines in the newspapers. Look what headline draws you in. Keep it short, keep it snappy, to the point. Don't think you have to elaborate on every single plot line or every character. You go punch. This is what it's about. Short and sharp, because what you want is to walk in the door. You get in the door, then you can talk. Then you can, elaborate. It's getting in the door, getting somebody to pick up the phone and say, look, I read your treatment, your synopsis. I'd like you to come in. That's all you want. So look at how journalists grab you on a story. Pages, first pages that make you go, oh, I want to read that. And you turn to, rest of the story on page 2, whatever. Notice how they go for the jugular almost. And this is what you have to do. Be it a crime novel, be it a very serious romantic novel, whatever. There's an awful lot of novels out there. So it's tough going, but learn how to really sell your project, and then learn how that when you get through that door, how you talk about it. That is your opportunity to give more. Don't give a manuscript away, because they very rarely have the time. They'll only want the manuscript. And besides, you need to be paid to write a manuscript, paid to write a crime novel. So go for it, short and sharp and strong and to the point. Don't list characters. Don't list, reams of plot. Hit your main focus of your novel. Okay? Next one is coming from Anna Mayburn. And she says, Lynda, you've written and produced, acted. Would you ever turn your hand to directing? Is it something that has ever crossed your mind? Well, honestly, Anna, I don't think I'd be a very good director. I don't have the patience. I truthfully would be too impatient. Um, Directors are a very special breed of people. They're like a father figure on the set. Some actors, you have to literally tease out of them. Some are so lacking in confidence, they won't give you anything at all. So for me, because I always found it so simple just to get into a role, enjoy it and do it. When you've got these people going, I don't know whether I'm right for this part. I just want to slap them, get out. So I would be a very poor director. I can tell an actor where to look for his role. And in many instances, I've taken actors to the character their role is based on and said, just stand in the corner and listen and look. You want to know how they dress? You want to know how they speak? Over there, go and have a look. There they are. If they want to get deeper, I can even go deeper with them. So a director never really does that. No, I don't think anyway. But the other thing, you ever notice how many directors? Just start making a note of how many directors their names coming up on the TV. How many? And you go, where are they now? What are they doing now? Never heard of them. Where do they go? Where do all these directors go? Where is the graveyard of all the directors? Because only a very few directors crack the big time. Very, very few. That's a tougher job to do than any of the others I've done. So, okay, on to the next one. This is from David Crosby. And he says, Lynda, I've been watching your Facebook Live appearances through the pandemic, and they are really entertaining. Thank you very much, David. So thank you for taking the time. You've got so many stories. Can we expect an autobiography or even an audio book of your colorful life? Well, I would find writing an autobiography exceedingly difficult because there's so much. You know, Raymond Chandler said, "No, I'm not going to do a biography. Who wants to know when I got my first bicycle?" And I think, you know, if you go into doing an autobiography, you have to cut slices out. I would maybe like to write, all the bitterness, all the people that I dislike intensely. I'd like to get them on the page, but I often do that in my books. I often describe a character that is very closely based on somebody I detest, but I wouldn't mind doing an audio. My son, Lorcan, is becoming a very, very good filmmaker. And we think we're going to do a blog together. And me just talking about my life. Stories about like me and Anthony Hopkins. Some of the actors I work with. And what it was like going into casting as an actress and then switching the tables to be casting someone. It's very, very interesting. And how in many cases an actor will, I never forget Paul Bettany. He came in completely wrong for the part in a series called Killer Nat. He was completely wrong. He was tall and skinny, very nervous, had a slight stutter because he said he was dyslexic. And then he said, and I thought, this boy has got something. I don't know what. And I said, would you like to go in the other room and spend more time on the pages, then come back in? He came back in and he was absolutely astonishing. So I rewrote the part. Instead of him being a broad-shouldered rugby player, I made him this skinny, hopeless rugby player. So that became a great enjoyment for me to spot somebody coming in, unknown, never been seen, never done anything. And in everything I've done, I've hopefully been the basis of a lot of stars, to give them the confidence to go on, because I had that intuition, having worked for so many years as an actress. I knew who was good and who was bad, who could do it and who couldn't. There you go. Right, next one is from Mark Anthony John Morgan. Oh, I know you love Raymond Chandler novels, but do you like Agatha Christie novels too? Yeah, she was a master. Agatha Christie is still one of the biggest selling crime writers in history. I mean, she's just a genius. And I don't know if you watch Poirot. I don't know if you watch all the Agatha Christie, Miss Marples. They're stunning. She has a wonderful ability of her plots. Very, very clever. Intuitive, too. And, if you go back to Miss Marples, there is a woman writing for a woman detective. I think she was, in ways, a detective. She also had troubles in her personal life. She ran off, disappeared, came back, got a second marriage, wonderful archaeologist, I think. And her fascination with archaeology, no, master crime writer, actually. Raymond Chandler was not that keen, though. In the letters of Raymond Chandler, he does a wonderful critique of one of Agatha Christie's books. I'm not going to tell you which one, but that's a good book to read. Raymond Chandler's Letters. I've got another one here from Peter Hills Willits. Hi, Lynda. Would you ever consider writing a follow-up to The Governor? Have you brought both books? Oh, sorry, says he. Oh, he has bought both books. And I'm looking forward to reading them after your latest Tennyson, and you're my number one author. Oh, thank you, Peter Hills Willits. Well, The Governor, it was quite astonishingly difficult for me. You'd think, it would be easy for me to get work. After the success, Prime Suspect, huge success. Widows, gargantuan success. You'd think, you'd walk into a TV network and you say, I've got an idea. And they go, yes. Very tough. You have to come up with something that is fresh and not done. And I did a lot of prison visits. And In one prison, I used to give lectures on writing. Most of the prisoners had no interest whatsoever. And they'd sit there, yawning. But they'd sit there. A couple of times, a few prisoners were interested. And I just did it out of research, too. It introduced me to prison life, and it introduced me to many prison officers who I admired, and governors. And one prison, I was slightly late getting there, and you could never be late. It was really against protocol for me to be a minute late entering that prison, because they had to move all the prisoners from their cells to the lecture area, all the officers guarding around the doors. And, I was quickly moved in to talk to the prisoners and encourage them to write as best I could. And on this visit to this particular prison, I was in a big hurry because I was at least 5-10 minutes late. And one of the prison officers came up to me and he said, "Oh, prison governor wants to meet you." I said, "Look, I really want to. I'm sorry, I'm late. I know I'm late. Let me get in." I was also very tired. I'd been in studio all day, so I was very, very tired. And I just have to have another sip of gin. Hang on a sec. So, do the lecture, and I am really exhausted. Coming back out, doing corridor after corridor after corridor, a couple of book signings in their library. And one of the prison officers, again, he said, "Oh, the governor would like to see you." Mm-hmm. So I said, "All right." I said, "But it's going to make me getting home very, very late." He said, "Well, it won't be long. Come on, come on." So there was a knock on the door. It was open. There was a very young woman there. And I said, "Hello." I thought it would be the governor's secretary. How wrong was I? She turned to me. She's very smart, good-looking woman, young. And she said, "I am the prison governor. I am, in fact, not only the youngest governor in England, I am the youngest female governor." I found her to be slightly egotistical, very overconfident, but I admired her. She had a lot of guts. I admired her even more so when I met her 6 months later and she had had a great problem at the prison. She changed. There was something about her that was different. She was not as open. She was a tightness to her. And I suddenly thought, she is a TV series. The Governor. Who's going to expect a prison series set in a violent Category A prison to be run by a woman? So off I went and I pitched it. And remember this pitch, keep it to the newspaper. I said, she's the youngest governor in England and she's the youngest female governor in England. And they bought it. ITV bought it. And it was incredible. I mean, the research I had to do, but very hard to find a prison to work in England. So I had to go to Dublin, where I built a prison in an old brick factory. Not, I didn't build it personally, but, the set designers. And it was such phenomenal set. And another quick story about the governor was I was in one of the offices and I glanced up. It was a lunch break, and I glanced up to one of the monitors that was still on, and I watched Janet McTeer, the actress playing the governor, right age, right size, very strong, powerful actress. And I was watching her, and I knew it was a lunch break. And I thought, what on earth is she doing? She was at one of the prison gates with the set of keys, opening, closing, opening, closing. And I thought, she's been there for 15 minutes, opening and closing, keys open, lock, lock, lock. open, lock. A little bit later, when I saw her eventually having a lunch, I said, "What on earth were you doing? Um, I watched you on the monitor." And she said, "Well, I am the prison governor. If I go up to a locked door, you don't want me fumbling with keys. She'll know which key to use. That's her job." And you thought, I love her. What an actress. That's what it's about. I was very, very sad after such a hugely successful series, pulling in enormous viewers, when ITV decided they didn't want that. And I think they replaced it with women in prison or something. I don't know. I didn't want to know. But it's always sad when, you have all those wonderful actors that really, really brought that show to the screen. It was fabulous acting went on. Anyway, um, I hope you like the youngest Tennyson. You can see how much I enjoy writing young Tennyson too. This is Peter Hills-Willett. Um, and I thank you very much for your compliment about me being a #1 author. Really appreciate it. Now I've got a few more questions. I hope I'm not running out of time. I think I am a bit, am I? Am I going over time? Well, I'll go over time. Doesn't mean you just cut me off, can't you? Yeah. Helen Roach. Oh, this is from New Zealand. And she says she's in love with Anna Travis series. Just a question. If I read Bloodline before Blind Fury, will this spoil the plot for me? Well, Bloodline and Blind Fury have to be a novel that can stand up by itself. This is why it's quite difficult when you're writing a kind of consecutive TV series and then writing the novelization of an episode in it. But they have to stand up by themselves. So, Helen, it doesn't really matter if you read Bloodline or Blind Fury. They're complete stories in the Anna Travis section. And it's very exciting because it's all coming back too. And I have so many fans about Anna Travis, so be patient. I will be writing another book. I promise you. Promise you, promise you. I'm wading through, but I promise you. And also, I promise Helen, I haven't visited New Zealand for a very, very long time, but I'll get there next time I'm in Australia. That is a promise. One more question. Faye Brailsford via Facebook Live chat. Hi, Lynda. Any more trial and retribution? trial, any more trial and retribution? It's not the gin, it's me. Trial and retribution. Any more trial and retribution planned? I'd love to. It's yet another series that I would really love to see on the screen again. But again, huge successful series. I'd love to go again. Very costly because of the split screen. Also, I think you've got one of the best actors we've got in England, David Heyman, playing that lead detective. He's absolutely brilliant. Some wonderful performances in that, and I'm so glad that it's being so popular because you can now listen to the unabridged version of it on the audio of Trial and Retribution. So that's good, isn't it? You can enjoy them in the car or when you're gardening, running, whatever you like to do. You can be listening to Trial and Retribution. And you go, God, that woman never stops, does she? She's churning this stuff out. Well, I am, because I love it. But I'm only doing it because I've got fans out there. You know, I hope it would be wonderful if I could actually go back to Trial and Retribution. And, there's always something. There's always a possibility. Anyway, I think I'm sort of running over my time. So now, I just thank you for joining me. I really do enjoy answering your questions. So keep sending them in via my social media or website, because I really hope they are beneficial to some of you. In the next Facebook Live, I'll be telling you a little bit more of what Jack War's next case is in Judas Horse. Oh, that's a goodie. So up till then, I just ask you all to take great care of yourselves, and stay safe. We're all in lockdown. Um, I hope you're not like me, into the gin and tonic a bit too much, but never mind. I love you all, and thank you for being with me tonight. Bye bye. Bye bye.